From homeless to shelter to housing, it's an outcome homelessness advocates hope to see in every case, but one that doesn't come to fruition as often as they'd like.
So how long does it really take, and what does it look like on the other side? Pearl Small joins us now from the studio with a look at that journey through the eyes of one man who's experienced all of that and more. Pearl?
Chris and Zach, there's no feeling quite like showing off your new home after a big move. But not everyone experiences that the same way, and that's especially true for people who've been living on the streets. That was the case for Brian Arborio, who was homeless for nearly 3 years. He invited me to the apartment that he now calls home, and we talked about how he's trying to motivate other people who are in the very same position where he was not long ago.
And this one is doing really good.
It's the small things that mean so much to Brian Arborio now.
I realized I could do okay with plants. We moved up to fish. Eventually we'll get something small with 4 legs and furry.
Life on the streets doesn't allow for little luxuries like pets or plants.
When you don't have 4 walls or a door, you're constantly, it's you versus everything else.
That's a battle Brian fought for almost 3 years, starting when he was priced out of his rent in 2021.
There's things that happen to us that are well beyond our choice, and you wind up out there.
Everything changed once he became homeless. Habits and choices Brian would have never considered before became his only comfort.
I knew I was going to need to get sober to get off the streets, but my sobriety had nothing to do with me ending up on the streets.
Brian took the first steps towards housing in December by getting sober and then placed into the York County shelter. But what was meant to be a transitional period ended up lasting much longer than he planned.
After 2 or 3 months of living in a shelter, it becomes toxic for the human psyche.
For 7 months, Brian was sleeping in bunk beds next to 12 other men, all sharing one bathroom.
Is it better than being outdoors? I don't know. It was just as tough.
Brian says he stayed motivated through journaling, documenting his life on social media, and making connections.
That was the pivot point to so many things changing very rapidly.
He garnered so much attention that someone from the American Civil Liberties Union invited him to Washington, D.C. to represent homeless voices and help lobby the Supreme Court in April to strike down grants passed.
If you can't put us into housing, then you should give us a sanctuary area for us to camp.
The court ruled that cities can enforce bans on sleeping outdoors in June. But Brian says just being part of the push gave him hope. And then, after years of waiting, he was approved for government-subsidized housing in Portland.
In the exact space where I'm supposed to be, and it gives me an opportunity to do the exact work that I'm supposed to be doing.
Brian is now dedicating his professional life to outreach, but also acknowledging systemic changes take time, and there is more to be done on a smaller scale.
Ultimately, it comes down to the issue of housing, but in the meantime, everybody that's stuck in this loop, people in the community need to do what they can do to directly respond to one person.
He says his story is one of motivation, saying he learned that even in the worst conditions, you can make it through with the right support.
It wasn't all about money or food or any of that. A lot of times it was just because there was somebody there to say, keep going. We're rooting for you, Brian, keep going.
Brian got his housing through the Portland Housing Authority. The nonprofit tells me they have several wait lists and work with partner organizations to get those at risk of homelessness onto those wait lists. If you want to apply for Section 8 rental assistance, you can do so at the website on your screen. That's affordablehousing.com/MaineCWL. Zach and Chris.
All right, Pearl Small in the studio. Thanks so much.